Set the recording up. And good evening, folks, and welcome to Sanctuary Online this Tuesday, this first Tuesday in October. I'm not sure where you're coming from, but we're at least a couple of us, Cheryl and I, are up here in God's country in northern Michigan, where the paintbrush is just going wild with orange and red and yellow in the trees. It's stunning. And today we were blessed with actually warmth again after a cold snap. So I can see you shaking your head, Marcia. It's nice to be up where in God's beautiful fall. All right. I'm going to share my screen real briefly, my friends, and just welcome each of you. And I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and put your first and last name over into the chat box, and also your email address, if you would. That way we can send you an email each week to let you know what's happening at Sanctuary Online. And if you would like to, we have a very cool chat function, the text feature. So if you'd like to receive a text every Tuesday, you can actually do that by putting your phone number in the chat as well for us. We'll scrape that up, and every Tuesday afternoon, you'll get a little reminder text letting you know what's on Sanctuary Online that evening. And beyond that, we want to make sure you put yourself on gallery view. Just one of the things at Sanctuary that's important to us is to create community. So it's great to see your faces. We're excited. We're about to go out with a big advertising campaign because we are incredibly excited to show you that we have October and November and December. We have our programming for the next 3 months for the entire fourth quarter. And we're hoping to become a resource to many of the MCC churches or any other organization who, one, COVID has just got you tired, right? And we want to bring you an opportunity for some stimulating, some inspirational, some educational programming. We're here every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. Tonight, like I said, is the first Tuesday in October, so we've got Giving Tuesday. I can't believe this, because I normally start thinking about Giving Tuesday on Giving Monday, like the day before Giving Tuesday, right? And even then I've had some success, but I'm looking forward to 10xing our results because we're planning here 6 weeks ahead. Ken and Toby Johnson are going to do Gender 3. We have had a big couple months, Ken, with gender and so many wonderful expressions of that. October 20th is a real treat with Introduction to TDF Theory. It's a life-changing, and I mean this, communication tool. And then we'll close up the month with the book that was chosen last week for our October book club, which will be Where the Forest Meets the Stars. I'm going to tease you about November and December, and then pop right into our Giving Tuesday. Barb, I want to thank you so much for thinking about this and for bringing Giving Tuesday and the concept of planning ahead. God bless you. You have helped Sanctuary in the Woods so much in that way. So tonight we're going to learn about not only how to make a donation, but how to make a difference. And tonight's presentation is both for individuals who want to contribute and learn ways they can help organizations that they love, and also for nonprofits that are hoping to create a Giving Tuesday plan. And Barb is going to walk us through step by step. So Barb, my friend, over to you.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here, and I hope that you will, that this will be a cafeteria experience for you. Rather than eating every morsel there, hopefully you will find some nice things to snack on and maybe some things to make a meal on, in the course of this next hour as we go through it. Giving Tuesday is a global movement. It's a global generosity movement, and it started in 2012. I think everybody on here is in the U.S., at least at the moment. So I'm going to speak to some U.S. numbers. Since 2012, over $500 million have been raised online through Giving Tuesday, and 1.9 billion if you add in offline is the total. So the first thing that was a surprise to me, my experience of Giving Tuesday was Facebook, all the ads and posts and things come flying by for the week ahead of time and on Giving Tuesday itself. But in fact, the online portion makes up only a quarter of all of the financial contributions that come in for Giving Tuesday. So that was an aha for me. And I hope it helps you reframe and rethink about this a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. So I want to start with a question and ask you, are you here, and you can answer in the chat box and I'll pull up the answers. Are you here because you're an individual and you want to learn more about making donations, or because you're thinking about an organization and helping an organization with planning and getting ready for Giving Tuesday? So take just a second, if you don't mind, and type it into the chat box. And if you can't decide, you can't quite decide, is that what that means, Colleen?
You can be both, Colleen. Both
and in fact, that is
great.
That is right on the money, because if I had to guess, even if you're here because you're working on a campaign for an organization that you support or even know and love, you're probably always also giving as a donor, either to that same organization or some other organization. So in fact, Colleen, you are right on the money there with your multiple hats and wearing multiple things. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to include both pieces tonight, is because even as we talk about Giving Tuesday for campaigns for organizations, I'm going to keep referring back to what individuals may be looking for, and hopefully re-engaging on that level. So Joe, let's go to the next page in the presentation.
You've got it, my friend.
All right. I do have some slides which we will send out to you afterwards. So if we start thinking about individuals, there are multiple ways that individuals can make a difference. Many of you on here have a church connection. So, at churches, we talk about giving time, talent, and treasure. But you can also, this slide talks about time and talent, but also give voice. Go ahead to the next one, Joe, if you don't mind. So there are actually 6 of these. Yep.
I'm going to have Cheryl actually type these in, Barb, to the chat box. As I'm sharing my slides, yes. I lose that functionality. So Cheryl, if you would mind to type in time, voice, and talent from that first slide.
Just so we have it in the chat box and can scroll back later and look at it. And money, kindness, and goods. So now I'm going to ask, for those of you that are on tonight, just take a quick second, if you can think about a way other than give money, just a brief phrase, a way in which you as an individual could give one of these other options: time, talent, kindness, goods, treasure, or voice. All of the above. Yep. Blackbaud conference today, and they're big time talking about giving goodness. Yes. And there's a lot of reason for that. Although Giving Tuesday has been going on for 7 years.
Really?
This will be the 8th year for it. Yes, started in 2012. If you think about what was going on in 2012, we were about 3 years into a recovery from a very deep financial disruption to our economy. And this year will be the first time that Giving Tuesday has ever happened while we're right in the midst of both financial disruption, economic chaos, and health chaos for the timing of the campaign itself. So that makes all of these touch points. These are the touch points. When I talk about touch points, these are the things that I'm thinking of. Money is one, but there are other ways to engage with donors and provide touch points. Okay, so one other food for thought as we begin to now think about what organizations are experiencing at this time. Remember I said at the very beginning that we had about $500 million, a little over $500 million raised through online giving in the past 7 years. There are 1.5 million nonprofit organizations in the United States. So if you do the math, those of you that know me know I'm a spreadsheet nerd. If you do the math, that means if you work it out, it's $50 per organization per year. That's not a lot, guys. That's a very small number. So there is a lot of room for continuing to grow this process. And I think even in times where finances are tough for people, I think there's ways for growth and engagement and connection as we continue to build on that $50 per organization per year number. Okay, Joe, go ahead, please.
Barb, I have to jump in here and share. There's a comment in the chat box from Ken about voice. And so I think this next slide is a great way where you can illustrate how you quote unquote give voice to one of the agencies that you are trying to support.
Absolutely. Does anybody know what an unselfie is?
No.
You can feel free to, if you know, feel free to unmute yourself and chime in.
Barb and I have a bet on this, folks. So anybody like to take a guess at what an unselfie is? I win, Barb.
You do, okay.
I couldn't find my mic. Is this a selfie of you doing a good deed for another organization?
Oh, that's close, Colleen. Barb,
you are so close, Colleen.
Like the walk for Alzheimer's?
Oh man, okay, Barb, I'm gonna give her credit.
Yep, definitely. I think so. The Unselfie is specifically geared toward Giving Tuesday. And, in the Walk for Alzheimer's example that Colleen just gave, you could print out the Unselfie and say, I support the Walk for Alzheimer's because whatever your 3 or 4 word phrase is, they make a difference in the lives of people. Whatever, is on your heart to express about that. So it's got to be, you take a big fat magic marker and you write it in big letters, so it's really visible, and you take a selfie of yourself holding up this little sign about why you support the organization. And that's what you post on social media on or before Giving Tuesday that says why you support the organization. So absolutely right. This is a touch point. This is a way to give voice to your support for the organization. Costs nothing. So this is not a give money example, but it lends support and it helps the visibility of the organization and lets the organization know that you support them and lets your friends and circle who maybe they have a little more financial, disposable income right now and the ability to contribute. So maybe you influence somebody by using your voice to contribute financially.
Barb, can you also do video? Are videos
you could do a video.
Just...
Yeah. There's a definite role for videos, and what I would suggest, Colleen, I've got a hold that thought for just a second, because we're going to talk about the whole communication strategy around this.
So Barb, is it supposed to be? Does it have to say unselfie on it? Is that part of it?
Well, the unselfie is actually a hashtag that has become associated with Giving Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
So yeah, if you use the unselfie strategy, it knits in together with all of the rest of the Giving Tuesday components, all the other components of the campaign. And on the bottom there, the bottom box says, don't forget the hashtags. It's really important. So all of these things will trend. Giving Tuesday, Unselfie. And if you, we'll talk in a little bit about, as an organization, create your hashtag for the event. For this example, I just wrote, I give to, and then MCC Knoxville, or Exodus MCC, or whatever the particular group that you're going to give to. But come up with your hashtag for the campaign as part of the campaign, and use the hashtags. That'll help bring the whole process together, as part of the Giving Tuesday experience. You'll see I'm expecting that you'll see a lot of these on December 1st, Giving Tuesday itself. So, okay. Other questions? Thoughts? Okay, let's go on then. Let's talk a little bit about planning for organizations. One of the reasons why we're here on the first Tuesday of October talking about this is to give folks time to build the plan. There's the old adage about, failing to plan is planning to fail, right? Often attributed to Benjamin Franklin, but not sure that's completely true. But in October, the important things that you need to accomplish are to build your Giving Tuesday team. Who's the person that's going to be responsible for lining up the people that are going to do unselfies or videos or other pictures for you? Who's the person that's going to be responsible for collecting the stories about your organization that you want to share with people? And maybe those stories are in the form of pictures or videos. So who's the person that's going to be your tech person in case the donor link goes down in the middle of Giving Tuesday, right? Line up your team, get everything ready, work together to set your campaign goals. So you're really building the skeleton of the campaign during October. What goals do you want to achieve in the campaign this year? What's your campaign theme? And how will you promote the campaign, your promotion strategy, your marketing? How are you going to connect with folks? And then also, yes.
I'm just going to jump in here and say, as Sanctuary in the Woods, when I did our first Giving Tuesday 2 years ago, I honest to God thought about it. I'm like, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Oh my God. I really, honest to God, just went on a campaign. I just tied myself to my computer and messaged people and messaged. It's such an incredible day of intensity and fun. And the next year we got a little better using some of these techniques that you're sharing. But I just want to do a shout out to people. Any help you can get, even if it's 1 or 2 or 3 people that are very excited to be a part, like Barb says, of this Giving Tuesday team, and then can help you set a reasonable goal and set the inspirational ask, and even do, I think, Barb, we're thinking of doing a couple videos, right? Little tiny short videos to get people thinking ahead of time. If you want to, we're going to be doing the same thing here. We're going to be announcing this probably almost every week or so between now and December 1st, just to remind people and to help churches think about. I think the first year we did this, Barb, it was our largest fundraising campaign in the history of Sanctuary in the Woods, and it was put together at the last minute. So there's a lot of potential here, and I'm just going to encourage folks that you might be surprised how much you can raise if you really put a good plan together like this.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, it's okay. I see the question there. Colleen, the question about going after end of year giving. Actually, don't think of this as an either or a replacement for end of year giving. Think of it as a hinge point, an access point into end of year giving. You want to be making a consistent message. You don't want to be playing message ping pong with people from Giving Tuesday and then end of year. So think all the way through what you're going to be asking for. Let Giving Tuesday kick it off, and be, be a transition point into your end of year conversation. Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Next slide, Barb.
So also in October,
Sorry.
nope, let's stay on this one for a second.
Go for it.
Also in October, we want to be taking the time to organize the information, chase down images. Hey, remember that food pantry thing where we had somebody taking pictures? Who's got the pictures of that? Where are they? Do they need to be cropped? Do we have permission to use people's image or their picture? All of those kinds of things, chase all of that stuff down as you gather the videos, images, and stories that you're going to use in your communications. And then once you get to November, line up your ambassadors that are going to repost, retweet, and post unselfies. Your person on your team that was recruiting people to do unselfies is now, you're going to turn them loose and they're going to go out and recruit people who are actually going to do it. You're going to plan who, when, and how for the day of on Giving Tuesday. So I've seen some resources that have said post something every hour. And, if you all are on Facebook, you know how quickly posts go by and get pushed down to the bottom when more content comes in. So there's some, there's some good reasoning behind that. That may not be, a perfect fit for you or for your organization, but just know that one post first thing in the morning is probably not going to be a good tactic for you. You're going to have to do something throughout the day to kind of generate interest and excitement. So who's going to do that? Is somebody going to be responsible for, the 12 to 2 slot? Think about it in terms of staffing a Pride booth, right? Who's going to be responsible for this from this time slot, right? And then finally, really, really, really important, do a tech check. Make sure all of the links, all of the payment methods are working. Last thing you want to do is put something out there with a link to PayPal and somebody clicks on it because they're excited to give you a donation and the link doesn't work. So really important. And I would say even do this early in November, because as you send out communications, include your donation link even in November before Giving Tuesday. Because some people will say, you know what, I'm going to do this today. I'm not going to wait. And you want to receive that gratefully and tell them thank you. So, okay, next. We just talked about setting goals. Go ahead and flip the slide there. There you go. Thanks, Joe. Think about, especially in this year when times are so difficult financially for folks, what are the goals that are the most important for this campaign? Dollars, of course, and the campaign is largely about dollars, but there are lots of other possibilities of what you might be trying to accomplish. If you're in if you're working on a campaign for an organization, think about what's real for your donors. Do you have folks who have experienced a lot of job loss, health insurance loss, financial disruption?
Amen.
Or maybe your particular community, not so much. So what's real for you and what's realistic? If you're concerned that the dollars part may be difficult for you, think about those other touch points, because what you can do is you can work on promoting event attendees, let's say, or participation in some way in the organization as goals. You certainly want to offer them the opportunity to contribute financially, but it may be just as important to have the language around your invitation to give reflect these other goals as well. And if you're looking at this and going, oh, that's an interesting chart, there are lots of resources available, which we're going to talk about at the end. And there's a couple of workbooks that have all kinds of worksheets, tools, planning guides. I love that kind of stuff because I'm just a big nerd that way. But if you also share my love of tools and templates and guides, I'll show you exactly where to go get them for free. So that's one thing. with setting up the goals and thinking about it, keep in mind when we talked about on the individual piece, what those individuals were thinking about and were willing to give, and the touch points. Really important to dovetail those together. Okay, let's keep going. Some people are, particularly church people, sometimes you find are really good at making an ask. Sometimes that's not necessarily in someone's biggest skill set. So there are some suggestions in these workbooks and some templates for how to make an inspiring ask. And the structure that they recommend here is to use a story or something to set up the situation. In the example here, I hope you can read that on your devices. This is a school that is raising funds to build a food pantry for students. And so they began the campaign. This is a real life example. They began the campaign with a story of a student who was coming to school hungry and was having difficulty learning because they were coming to school hungry. So you start with a belief statement. What does your organization believe about this situation? We believe that no student should have to choose between food and learning. And then there's a you statement. So a belief statement plus you can help. You can help us stock the pantry so that no student has to make the choice or no student has to go hungry. And then finally, the opportunity statement. Are you with us? Will you join? How can you help? There are lots of variations on the opportunity statement. And think about that in context of the touch points. Are you with us is very general, but if you're asking specifically for donations, you might want to use language that ties more with, can you make a donation? Can you make a contribution? Rather than something that's generic as, are you with us? So here's another class participation opportunity. We talked about those 6 touch points. Which ones do you see in this example? Where they're talking about the belief that no student should have to choose. You can help us. How can you help them? What are the touch points that are either directly or indirectly referenced there? Anybody got an idea?
We're looking for time, voice, talent, kindness, money, and goods, Barb?
Yep.
Time, voice, talent, kindness, money, and goods.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what do you see as examples?
What do you see in there? Obviously money, right? You could make a donation and they could go buy food.
Yep,
right?
I think
what
also goods
what else is implicit
would be food. Can you help us stock,
yep.
right? Stock
Yep,
the pantry?
Right.
You're right. That's
right. Yep. You can stock the pantry. The language is such that you can see your touch point. It doesn't say, can you give us money so that we can buy food? It says, can you help us stock the pantry? Yeah. So if you're not in a situation where you can make a financial contribution, maybe you have, like living in this household here where there's lots of garden growing and canning going on. Maybe you can contribute food. If you can't write a check or go to PayPal and make a donation.
Well, even it's encouraging.
So yes, kindness.
Kindness, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So this is a key bit of advice on when you're working on these asks. Look at what you've written through the lens of what are these 6 touch points? Do you see multiple touch points in there? How can people contribute if they're not using the dollars if they're using something in addition to dollars or other than dollars in those touch points.
Barb,
And yes, you have to have an opportunity or a method. You have to tell people how they can connect and do something other than donate money. That's right. It's exactly right.
yeah, one of the things that when I were talking about this that I'm really aware of is that each of us has a network. Some of our networks are as small as our immediate family, and some of our networks are really quite gigantic. And activating each of our individual networks, it just is an exponential opportunity, in that. I might not be able to do much myself, but I've got almost 4,000 Facebook friends, and so it's not just what I can do, is what my sphere of influence is and how I can activate my own network. Like if somebody asked me, if somebody in regarding this particular example of the school, if one of my Facebook friends said, can I come by your house and pick up some canned goods? I would say, yes, of course, but I would never think of doing that myself. So I think just each of us realizing that we are influencers beyond what we might realize we are in terms of taking advantage of these opportunities.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing about all these issues, I've done this for years, and I could tell you a story about the AIDS Pastoral Care Network where because somebody, which was a Jesuit priest, went to Cardinal Bernardine in Chicago and said, we want to provide a pastor at Cook County Hospital because these people come in there and their own pastors have shunned them. In other words, we were all working to fund all this, but we weren't getting the pastor bit done. We were maintaining an office. By the way, the nuns gave us an office for $1 a year, but we were working so hard. And this Jesuit went to Cardinal Bernardine and said, what we need is a pastor at Cook County. We already have a woman. She's a Methodist clergy. She will be glad to take the job, but she has to have a living wage. But we want somebody there every day that could say to people, no, you've got AIDS, you're not a sinner. Anyway, Cardinal Bernardine said, well, Maundy Thursday's coming up, and it's supposed to go to the poorest of the poor. So I'll tell you what, all the Chicago Diocese money will go to your AIDS Pastoral Care Network. So after Maundy Thursday, we got a check for $79,000.
That's great.
That more than hired that woman a year.
That's great.
It kept going, but you have to get to the right person,
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
if
right.
we just keep, saying over and over, we need this, where can we find it?
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm in a small to medium-sized church, and it's so different. But a couple years ago, we need a new door. I know to all of you from a big place, that sounds crazy, but the door had to be handicap accessible and da-da-da-da-da. The door was $2,500. So we just stated to the church that we were going to do an offering for X number of weeks, and we got the door, but we had to make it clear what our project was and how each person could contribute a little extra every week. We made it clear, this isn't your offering.
Yeah.
This is another offering for the door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So people seem to, and the other thing is, if you can tie anything to children, you're going to get more money. Seriously, we do.
Yep.
We do school supplies at my small to medium church. We do Christmas gifts. Each child gets to ask for 3 things. We're 6 miles from Gary, Indiana. That should tell you something. We have, and everybody that applies for this someone in their family has HIV or AIDS. So we provide these gifts. And Darlene and I go to many, we used to go to many things. We had Jewish friends writing a check for $75 the night we saw them. Oh, to give kids a Christmas? Hey, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So if you can tie kids into
and in all of those examples, Cynthia, thank you for that. Those are wonderful, wonderful examples. And in all of them, you're right on the money. It's the slide where we talked about what's the objective of the campaign. Be really clear about what is the objective. What are you trying to do?
And
really important.
I'm just as much into that myself. I had heard that Ken and Tom had a flood, and I was like, oh dear, I bet they had insurance and da da da. I didn't really get too involved or think about it. And somebody sent out an email, I don't know who it was, and said to me, Ken and Tom have been doing great things for all of us their whole lives. The insurance doesn't cover all this, blah, blah, blah. And I went on PayPal and sent money the next day. You see, I had to connect with it. The need as well as the opportunity,
Right. So that's a perfect setup for the next slide for me.
Good.
Perfect. Because the next slide is all about getting the word out. What's the timetable? What's your communications look like?
Good.
So absolutely perfect. Joe, if you don't mind.
I'm also going to
let's think for a minute about
for her donation to Sanctuary in the Flood.
Oh, yes, exactly. Absolutely. Thank you.
It's not a dime of that was covered by insurance, Cynthia. So
but how did I know that? Because I've had rental properties and everything. I mean, one of my rental properties burned to the ground. It was all covered. I just was looking at a different philosophy of things. But once I heard the need, hey, that's you're right. It's
Oh, we still appreciate that. Thank you, Barb. Getting the word out.
Getting the word out. So we starting in November, you're a month ahead of Giving Tuesday is when you start doing the communications, and think of it as a communications sequence, not event. So you have a series of announcements. The first one that goes out maybe the week of November 9th is where you're announcing it to your community or your potential donors. Hey, we're doing this. Guess what? Save the date. We're doing this. That's all you want. Be very focused, very simple in your message. We're doing this. Stay tuned. Save the date. And oh, by the way, there are some graphics available on the website to help you with that. Maybe the next week you do a campaign update. What you got going on there, Joe? Oh, okay.
Sorry, just clean the slide up for you.
Okay. So the next week you do a campaign update. Hey, remember that we're doing this. Remember, we told you last week we're doing this. Here's what's been going on in the organization, or some kind of backstory. When you're doing this kind of communication, you want to be very careful to align it to your audience. So you may have different things that are getting communicated to your core donors that are getting your, maybe there's a church email that goes out, email newsletter that goes out every week with what's going on, or what's happening in the church. That's a different population than maybe seeing you on Facebook. So think of it as concentric circles. With your inner circle, you may talk to them about more detail. You may assume that they have greater knowledge to begin with. In your extended circle on Facebook, you may have to do a little bit more organization and introduce yourself. Who are you? What work have you been doing? I mean, not literally personally introduced by name, but communicate about the organization. What are you all about? And maybe one of the important things in this timing is what have you been doing, in the current crisis, healthcare crisis. Maybe you've been doing, an additional ministry that's focused on helping folks who've lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Maybe the organization has struggled more, but I would encourage you to resist the temptation to say, we've had a hard time, please send us money. What I would focus on here is be honest with them. Don't be all fluff and feathers. Be honest and say, we've had a tough time. And even so, here's what we've been doing to try and help out, even though it's been tough.
Barb?
So start telling your story there.
Barb? Yeah, question. I'm wondering, one of the things I think many of us can do with the different organizations that people are representing here tonight is we talk about doing a couple of videos, but I bet there are videos from people, I think what you're saying to encourage us not to say, man, it's been hard with COVID, not to say that. The power of having someone else say what the church or the organization has meant to me during COVID, like a cameo, I guess, cameo videos.
Yes.
Where do you think they would fit? And do you think they would fit in this timetable?
I think the 16th or the 23rd, I think you want to build to something like that.
Yeah.
So, the next week, tell stories. What you have done, what you've meant to people, maybe what you need. What are the touch points? Here's where you tell people what touch points you're looking for. What do you need? How you'll use the donations if you are asking them to contribute financially. What is it that you want to try to do? Maybe you want to start a food pantry. Maybe you've already got a food pantry and you need to to replenish it. You need to invite more contributions to be able to provide because you're seeing more need these days. So you can do that through a video. You can do that through still pictures with stories. Use different, people learn in different ways. So use different approaches.
Barb, I want to ask you how we could use this statistic. I just read it a couple days ago and it really impacted me. It was about life satisfaction issues with people. And they compared, because I remember 2008, since I carry a real estate license. I mean, 2008 was horrible. Everybody's house value went down, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And they said the feeling of well-being among the average American was 30%, 36% of people still felt, hey, it's okay. My life will straighten out. It'll be okay. Right now, at this moment, that same criterion is dropped to 14%.
Oh, wow. I had not heard that.
Yeah, I just read that yesterday and I thought I've got to take this in and see what it means. I'm going to ask somebody like you who will tell us what that might mean. But they said people are they're not sure that life will ever be meaningful to them the way it was because things are in their mind are such a mess.
Yeah.
My initial take on that is rather than try and work that into any kind of communication back out into the community.
Yeah.
I think that's important for the campaign planners to understand what's going on with that.
Right.
And what people are experiencing because there's, how you can speak about how to stay connected, how to reach out when you need help, ways in which the organization can be there to support people, talk about times being difficult, and we're all in it together and we want to give hope, those kinds of things.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But rather than,
and
absolutely.
People,
that's my initial take on that.
Yeah. We're going to have this campaign and to participate is very minimal. Maybe they'll bring canned goods, who knows? But the point is, it feels so good to help others because they're looking for ways to feel good.
That's right. And even if someone is struggling financially, that's what we were talking about, the 6 touch points and keeping in mind the multiple touch points. Individuals are going to be looking for ways that they can help because most people realize that there's lots of people that are impacted and are struggling in one way or another. And so if there's something that they can do to help, they want to help out. At the same time, they may need help in another area from someone.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Great. All right, let me keep going on the timeline here. On November 30th, the day before, that's the reminder day. hey, remember tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. And as we talked about before with the tech check, all these communications already have your donate buttons, your links in them, because somebody's going to see it and decide, I don't want to wait. I might forget about it. Maybe I'll be busy that day. I'm just going to give now. And then Giving Tuesday, remember we have the plan, right? Because that was part of what you were doing in October and November, was making the plan for who's going to post what and how Giving Tuesday is going to actually roll out. This type of communication is think about it, as a communication hourglass. So the early communications are broad, start very broad, very simple, single message. And then as you go on, you get narrower with, and more specific, more detail, more depth, more specific. And then as you get closer to the date, you broaden back out again with very simple messages. Hey, remember it's tomorrow. November 30th is not the time to start telling people about the good work that your organization is doing. It's too late. Yeah. There's too much other clutter on the airwaves for that message to break through at that point in time. Questions? Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
If we're ready to move on, I want to talk a little bit about donor fatigue.
Oh.
This is one of the guidebooks that's on the Giving Tuesday website that I'm going to show you at the end. There are a couple of great guidebooks with templates and all kinds of advice in there. And, they said it much better than I could ever to make it up. So I'm just going to quote them and give credit. But they talk about, I'll let you read the words as I'm talking here, but basically they talk about donor fatigue, and being aware of that, and saying that the donor fatigue happens when you don't have a quality message. It's much more related to the quality of the message and to having a relationship and experiential interactions with your donors than having transactional interactions. If the only thing they're hearing from you is, hi, I'm really doing great work, please give me money, you're gonna be a lot more at risk for donor fatigue if that's all they're hearing. They're gonna say, all you do is ask me for money. If you tell them, here's what we're doing, here's what the organization is about, here's what we've accomplished, here's what you've helped us do, and leave it at that. You can include the link, but don't make it your ask in the education phase. Keep clear on what the objective is of that particular communication. Then when you do make the ask, they've got the background, and now it's experiential and relationship based rather than transactional. So I think that's really important to avoid donor fatigue. The other key point that they make here is they talk about providing those multiple touch points. Cynthia, you mentioned 2008, and you hear talking heads, if you're listening to the news at all, you hear the talking heads that talk about, is the recovery going to be V-shaped, right? So you have this steep decline, and then you bounce and you have this steep recovery. Right. Or is it going to be U-shaped? You have this steep decline and you kind of stay at the bottom for a while and then you start to curve back up. Well, now they're talking about, in this particular situation, maybe it's K-shaped. Oh, so, you have the decline, you have some people who maybe haven't lost their jobs and they're starting the bounce back part of that. Things are kind of starting to return financially to where they're at. We haven't seen the property value declines in this recession the way we have in the past. So this is a different recession. But you also, instead of everybody experiencing this increase, this bounce back, you have some people for whom the situation is continuing to decline. Yeah. They've lost their jobs, they've lost their health insurance. Now they're facing eviction, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, you want to understand the context and provide those multiple touch points to people. Because if you ask someone and they can't give financially, that may be the end of the conversation with them. Okay, go ahead to the next one, please. Finish the rest of that. And this is really the payoff line here, I think, is that donor fatigue is a function of the quality of the message and engagement rather than frequency.
Yes.
So, okay. All right, let's go one more and we'll just, kind of recap. There was a lot of words there, but, in that section of that workbook. So just to kind of recap, make sure you're engaging with donors about what you're doing, tell stories, be relational with them. Be sure you credit them for their role in your organization's success. And build the relationship before you ask for the transaction to make a donation or another donation. Give them opportunities, multiple touch points, opportunities to help in multiple ways. And then, tell them what difference they've made. Give them stories, testimonies, pictures, videos, and thank them for their generosity. Those are all ways that you can invest in that quality of message that will help minimize donor fatigue. All right. So that's the last of the really heavy stuff. Let's talk for just a minute about the fun factor. It's a serious time, but you can still make some of this fun. And ways you can do that, you could do challenges. You could say, we want to raise, $200. Think about Facebook, the birthday challenge. We want to raise $200 or whatever. You could do matching donations or seed donors. If you're going to announce a challenge, let's say you wanted to raise $5,000, and you say to someone, we've already had a generous contributor stand up and say to us, we'll get you halfway there. We're going to donate $2,500 by matching, the donation. So those kinds of things make people feel like, that the campaign is positioned for success and is already well underway, and that there is a path toward achieving what you want to.
Well, and Barb, I think
what your goals are.
We did this once last year. I think the first year we had a big donor come in, and we asked if we could use that as a matching gift, and then also things like a number that matters to your organization. For us, is it 8817? Is it 2020? Things like that. Can you give $40 or $20? Things like that to make it, you gamify it, I guess, and you give people a reason for a target or a reason for a certain amount of a pledge.
And those things can be part of the hook on here. So I want to share a story with you about a fun hook that got people interested and excited. There was an MCC church that had been working all year on building fund. And they were talking about expanding and building a new building for worship. And they had, it wasn't new news to the congregation. There'd been meetings about it, committees doing reports. It was, it was well known in the community what those goals were all about. So they decided to make the Giving Tuesday that year about the building fund. And so, they had the engagement piece. They had been talking with the community all year about it. So that was in place. They announced early, at least a month ahead of time. They were doing promotion, emails and videos and things like that to get people excited about it. They lined up people to do unselfies and to share to their own Facebook pages and, to participate and give voice. They recruited, a matching donation and a seed donor to position themselves for success. And they had a hook, a fun hook that was, the pastor was British and would tease the congregation about how all things British were better than all things American. So the hook was, if they reached a certain level, the pastor would go on Facebook Live and sing, "God Bless America." or and then the second level, if they reached the stretch goal, the pastor would go on and sing America the Beautiful. I can't remember which one was first. I think America the Beautiful first, and then God Bless America second. Because God Bless America, also, if you know the tune, Colleen, I don't know other musicians on here. Colleen, I know you're a musician. You know that God Bless America is the British national anthem. Right? Because God Save the Queen. So this is a church that their typical fundraiser raised somewhere between $100 and $1,000. You know, whether it was a spaghetti dinner or a yard sale or something else that they were doing, they were pretty consistently, you know, under $1,000 in their fundraiser results. And with this campaign, they raised over $8,000 on
Wow.
Giving Tuesday and had a great time doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can find that fun hook, you know, even in tough times, you can do it respectfully and engage people, and you can have some very successful results.
Yeah. Especially if
Okay,
it's
let's wrap up.
Oh,
Let's
was that Cynthia?
we're close to the end.
I visited a small MCC, which has since closed, but they were wonderful people. That was Grand Rapids, Michigan one time. And we were just coming off a $7,000 fundraiser in my small to medium-sized church. And I went up there with my chest all puffed up, and I talked to them, and they wanted to know about fundraising. And I said, well, have you ever had a fundraiser here? Oh yeah, we have. Oh, when was it? Oh, a year and a half ago. Well, how much money did you raise? $17,000. I was like, what?
Right.
Cynthia, we needed a new roof. We didn't have a choice.
Yep.
We had to get a new roof. And they
Right.
told about selling tires off from a tire dealer. They got donated tires. I mean, they had done everything.
Wow.
They needed a new roof. And everybody responded.
And they got
It's great. It can be done.
It can be done if
Yeah.
you get the right
All right.
numbers.
We are close to the end here, so I'm going to just push through, and we're right up the top of the hour. So I'm going to maybe ask if you wouldn't mind giving me 5 minutes extra. But the keys to success, just to kind of recap, because we've covered a lot of ground today. Planning ahead, have a campaign narrative that fits in with your objectives. Plan your breakthrough promotions, the stories you're going to tell people, what information you want them to have about the organization. If you can have a hook, that's gravy on top, and an inspiring ask. And I've been promising to talk to you about resources. Joe, one more slide. The GivingTuesday.org website, if you haven't been on it, go take a look. They have all kinds of stuff on there, and it's all free. Those 2 workbooks, Complete Guide for Nonprofits and the Get Ready for Giving Tuesday workbook. Both of them are just PDFs that you go get and download. They are chock full of step-by-step planning. Those templates that I had earlier in there are in those workbooks. They have everything from sample social media posts to sample press releases, all kinds of information about Giving Tuesday, real, core foundation, helpful. I don't even know how to write an ask, or write a social media post. I'm overwhelmed with it all. All the examples are in there. You can read them and choose the pieces that fit for you. So Joe, would you mind clicking on that? And we'll just go to the website real quick.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead to that and click in here, Barb.
So you're now on the GivingTuesday.org website, and this is the organizations page. When you get to the page, there's basically a branch point. You can either go to the individuals page or the organizations page. And on the organizations page, you can scroll down. You can, there you go. You can download the toolkits. Oh, scroll back up. You're a little too far.
Right here?
There you go. Download social media graphics and logos. Yep, perfect. Download the toolkits. That's where those workbooks are. If you want the save the date logo, that's already the right size for Facebook. Some of them are different for Instagram and Twitter. Whatever you want to, however you want to use. These are great, amazing resources, 100% free. So bookmark this page.
Yeah, and that's just really just givingtuesday.org, right, Barb? If we went backwards.
Yeah,
this was you and I
givingtuesday.org. Click on the word Giving Tuesday up in the corner, and it'll take you to the homepage.
The homepage, right?
Yeah, there it is. There's the homepage.
Oh, wow.
That's the statistics.
Beautiful. I mean, honest to God,
Yeah.
Barb and I went through this a bit ago, but once it's got the, exact dates, you can put this even up as a photo, right? To remind people Barb is a stretch.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then here's some of the numbers that Barb, that you shared with us.
Yep.
And then this is where you decide whether you're going to go as an individual, how to get involved, or if you're going to support an organization and as an organization, make a plan like Barb has shared with us. And that's what we clicked on into the organizations. And then once again, great stuff, Barb. And I'm so happy that you did this for us tonight.
Oh, yes.
Joe,
Yes.
can I just say that if I were still pastoring, especially right now,
Yes.
this presentation would be pure gold.
Yep.
to me.
I agree, Ken.
It is our, all of our models for doing stewardship are just, you can't do them right now the way
No, you
church
can't.
is being done. But I can, as Barb was presenting this, I was thinking about ways in which our traditional ideas about stewardship campaigns could dovetail with this.
Yes.
How this could allow churches and other organizations to do stewardship, even in this time of COVID when the churches left the building.
Yes.
This is just pure gold. And I hope that because we do record all of these and they are on Facebook, that we will keep telling pastors and CEOs and other people, this go look at this presentation, because this is just invaluable stuff. This is really, really
Right.
important to help
You know what?
churches. This is the difference between surviving and not surviving.
Yeah. And Ken,
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead. Barb and I talked beforehand a little bit of a strategy that every so often on Sanctuary Online, obviously tonight for all of you, again, if we have your email address in the chat box, we send out an email every week that says what happened. And if there's a great resource kit, Ken, like this PowerPoint deck
Oh,
is,
great.
we clean that deck up and we send that out to you. Okay. So once again, you'll have that for your own resources and to forward it. Barb and I were also thinking that every couple weeks, not only can we help advertise Sanctuary Online's Giving Tuesday campaign, but we could remind people, and if they would like the resource kit, we'll go ahead and send it out and send that slide deck out over and over and over. So we'll do it again, probably 1 month prior. So on the last of the month, we'll probably do that after the election, because everyone will be thinking one way or another. We'll remind folks again. I know exactly, Colleen. And we'll make sure that people know. And Colleen, like I said, you've been an amazing resource for us, an advertising component for us at Sanctuary Online. We really, 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 really love and appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we'll try and get it out there, because honestly,
what this
like I said,
reminds me of, I'm a president of the Old Farts Club. So remember, I've been around for a while. What this reminds me of is being in Phoenix, Arizona. I met Ken Martin at the front desk. He was busy faxing materials because he was buying a condo in Portland so he could be an elder and live up there. And all this was going on, and I was not a lay delegate. I was just there to participate. And I went to this meeting that Grant Ford organized, and there were five of us. And there was a man from Fort Lauderdale there and he gave in an hour a presentation. And where was the rest of the group? Oh, they said nobody's here because the lay delegates and the pastors are in a business meeting. So this man stood in front of us and told us exactly how to create a donor campaign. He had done it for Grant at Fort Lauderdale. He talked to us about touching on each person's individuality. And this reminds me of that, Barb. We have, and as I left that room, I went back to Darlene. I said, oh my gosh, this is such valuable material. And there were no people there to hear it. So this particular situation tonight, we have to get this out to people.
Yeah.
It's just essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you
we'll
did a
send
great
out the
job,
YouTube
Barb.
link. We'll, and yeah.
Share the
Well,
YouTube link
and
with me
when we send it
specifically,
out-
and I'll send it in the connect.
Oh,
We'll
good.
send it to you, Colleen.
All right.
And
We'll
every
do,
weekend,
Colleen, thank you.
the
Yep.
YouTube link is at the bottom of that email every week. It takes you to the library of all the Sanctuary Online episodes, but it also takes you directly to the episode that we're talking about that we just reflected upon. So we'll make sure we get that to you,
Yeah.
Colleen, and we'll do, thanks, Cynthia, for that encouragement. We will do our work to get this out to more and more people and have it available.
Yeah. Joe, I want to, there's one, as I was reviewing my notes, there's one pretty important piece on the website that I forgot. So,
You want me to go back?
if you would, yes, if you don't mind. And I'm sorry, folks, it goes to giving talent, to that section.
Oh, that's a good.
It's under, under the individuals. I was so impressed with this. Go to the individuals rather than the organizations page.
Yep, I am doing that, going backwards in time.
Okay.
Here,
So
how to get
individuals, how to get involved. Yep. And when that comes up, scroll down a little bit, and this is on the individuals, but it could be organizations, but it's on individuals because it's asking for people to give in this way. Keep going. Now you'll see where I grabbed the photos from.
Give talent.
Yes, give talent. Click on that link there for it says Taproot Plus. This is an organization that has sprung up recently, and what they are is they are an online dating service for folks who have a skill set or talent and are willing to volunteer that skill set, and nonprofit organizations who need it.
Wow.
So if you are I browsed this a little bit, as an organization, you can fill out a request on here and say, I need somebody to help me with my website, or I need somebody to consult with me about a fundraising campaign. And the examples go from, all they're asking for is an hour of someone's consulting time, all the way up to they want somebody to design and build a website for them for, it's going to be several weeks of their time and willingness to do it. So, they invite people to donate their skills. They invite organizations who need skills, and then they play matchmaker and kind of you can interview the person, see if you think there'll be a fit. If not, they'll set you up with another interview. So, I've called this kind of speed dating for talent help here. But I was so impressed with this piece because I'd not seen anything like that before. And this could be really valuable for our nonprofits that we're working with.
Thank you, Barb. Well, my friends, it is almost 1:15. There's only one way to end tonight, though. Normally I advertise our upcoming work, but I'll just see you here next Tuesday. But Barb, there seems to be a special day. We might need your help here, Colleen and Ken, with the
That would be tomorrow.
what would
That
that
would
be
be,
tomorrow?
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yes,
say
it is tomorrow.
an online happy birthday. Wouldn't that be like the best way to get just kind of like love
thank
into
you,
your birthday
Barb.
day?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
to you. Happy birthday.
dear Barb.
Happy birthday to you.
This is why virtual choirs are hard.
Yes. You all are awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
Barb,
you,
good job
Barb.
tonight.
50-50.
Thank
For
you.
gifting me with a little bit of extra time
Mocha
tonight.
wishes
Thank
you happy birthday.
Oh, Mocha Mocha.
Hey, Mocha.
Oh, Mocha.
Hi, Mocha Mocha. Hi,
All right.
Mocha. Sweet California girl. And who have you got
She's
there?
living the dream.
Colleen? Someone.
Oh, there we.
All right, my
That is,
friend.
that's Babette.
God bless you.